system is burning. But I had never experienced anything like the smoke in the air that night. I just had never experienced it. In the Uber, with a cold pot of soup on my lap, I was very silent, and David was very silent. And in the front of the car, the driver was silent too. When we passed Darling Gardens, the smoke looked soft and beautiful, as if it had been pushed gently up from underneath the trees. When we exited the car in front of the apartment block, we walked quickly through the gate and through the parking court and towards the stairs that led up to my apartment. We ducked low, like we were caught in rain and not in burning country, and as if ducking bushfire smoke saves you from the smell. I don't know what I thought would happen when we got upstairs. I don't remember if I thought we'd finally discuss the thing we'd determinedly not spoken about since he'd come back from the music festival those few weeks ago. I'm sure dreading what would come next played a part in our stopping at the bottom of the stairs, even with the smoke. The main reason, however, was the startling sight. There were 4 apartments in the block. I know they don't make 4 or 6 bedroom apartment blocks anymore, but there are several like it, squat, brick buildings from the 70s that break up the clots of workers' cottages between Wellington and Hoddle. The 1 bedroom I'd bought was small, but in a pretty spot. It was on the top floor, with its own front stairs and wraparound landing, which was partway hidden by plane trees as it winked out at the street. Since I'd bought into the building, it seemed like every old apartment in Collingwood had been flipped and sold, or sold and kept ugly. In September, it was the turn of the apartment under mine, a 2-bedroom that turned out its quiet, delivery-driving students, and after being briefly advertised, was sold prior to auction. When spring turned to summer, tradies began showing up as I left for work. They plied their unseen trades in the apartment, leaving clue-addled piles of debris in the parking court. Just after Christmas, the old roller blind over the sliding glass door of the apartment, reliably see-through and revealing of shadowy humanoids, had been replaced by a clean, charcoal-coloured scrim that seemed to have been cut flush into the sliding door frame. Since then, the apartment's occupants had been presumed but unproved, substantiated only by the carapace of a Land Cruiser that had materialised in the parking court and then not moved. And now, here they were, with the scrim up and all the lights on. A woman and a man peering out from behind the sliding glass door, each of them holding an empty wine glass. The woman was barefoot and obviously pregnant, relaxed in the shoulders, poised in the hips. She had a wide face, shining white skin, and a neat, jagged haircut. She was wearing a shift dress in a deep grey, stretchy fabric. The man was tall, also white, but I thought quite tanned for Melbourne. Certainly younger than the woman, and perhaps the same age as me. He had the blocky chin of the classically handsome, but the slightly sweaty features of the slightly green. He was wearing jeans, black socks, and an untucked blue-purple dress shirt. When the woman waved excitedly and held up her glass, he stood back. She pointed at the glass and then pointed at me, and then she pointed at David. She slid open the door a little. "I'm not pointing at the smoke," she said. "I'm pointing at you. Come in for a drink." The door slid closed again. "That's my boss," said David. I looked at him, questioning. "I'm not even kidding, that's my boss," he said. "I don't want to have a drink with my boss on New Year's Eve." David was in his mid-20s, but it was hard to tell. Because whereas I'd had rather adultish features since I was a girl, he was one of those men who would probably always look as though he'd either just woken up or just been born. I'd met him at a house party 3.5 years earlier, and since then, David had been working front of house in a bubble of mid-tier bistros in the loose triangle between Collingwood, Preston and Coburg. Before I'd bought my apartment, when I still lived at Shirley, the 2 of us had a sleepover 1 night during the week and 1 on weekends. Ideally a Friday or a Saturday, but just as often a Sunday, depending on